Swirling tide of humanity at the Mexican border, the start of a crisis. Republicans warn Biden. U.S. authorities have begun to see the return of Central American families and children crossing in numbers that point to building crisis at the Mexican border in a replay of scenes that occurred during the record influx of families who arrived in 2018 and 2019, overwhelming migrant shelters and border patrol stations. Republican critics of new President Joe Biden say the new wave is the start of the crisis they have long predicted, invited by the new administration's eager rejection of Donald Trump's deterrent approach. At the time, some migrant families with children who've crossed illegally into the U.S. are being released in Texas by Border Patrol officials, a reversal of Trump-era policies to immediately send them back to Mexico, migrants' rights advocates said. Their releases comes after late last month. Mexican authorities in some areas of the border stopped taking back families returned by the United States under emergency pandemic health measures implemented in March, with the U.S. capacity to hold adults and children reduced by the pandemic, and the temporary closure of the largest Border Patrol facility in South Texas, U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) began dropping families off at bus stations and shelters last week. I came last year, but they weren't giving you the opportunity to cross. But then I decided to come back again, and thank God I got the opportunity, said Desi Funes Pena, 40, who arrived with her three children Thursday night. Last fall, she crossed the Rio Grande with her family and surrendered to border officials, but they were returned to Mexico, she said. This time, Fiona Pena and her children were released in downtown McAllen and into the care of Catholic charities of the Rio Grande Valley. It was unclear how widespread the shift was along the border, where it had been recent practice to immediately expel migrants due to the coronavirus pandemic. A change in Mexico's migration policy added to the confusion after it appeared that officials there objected to the return of children, at least in the Rio Grande Valley. At least 1,000 migrants have been allowed to remain in Texas in recent days and hundreds more in California, the New York Times reported on Saturday. The U.S. has recorded more than 380,000 expulsions on the southern border since March, though some of those could be the same people multiple times, U.S. figures show.